Michael, really, thank you for taking the time. Grew up watching your shows in the 80s and the 90s, and then there's Quiz Show, which earned an Academy Award nomination or two. So fantastic credits that you've got, and Maybe I Do is the new movie. Did you know outright that you wanted to direct it in addition to writing it?
No, I didn't want to direct it at all. I was very surprised when Chris Slager, who was at Endeavor Content, which is now 5th season at the time, said, no, we want you to direct this. You know, I had faith in the company when they read the script and wanted to go ahead with it. And then when they said they wanted me to direct it, I lost all faith in the company.
Well, going through your credits, you did direct some of your television projects, a couple episodes here and there, but it's not directing kind of oriented in your career. What was the first thing you directed? Was it an episode of My Two Dads?
That's very good. Yeah, it was in fact an episode of My Two Dads. I did dinosaurs a bit. You know, what's interesting is that I was concerned. Mike, the other producer on this, one of the other producers, Vincent Newman, said to me, I'm sending you directing for dummies. Do you know what you're going to do at all? I said, no, I'll suss it out. The good news was it was similar, the experience, to running a show, because the decisions that you're making, what you're afraid of, I think, of a first-time director are, am I going to have the right camera shots? Am I going to have the right movement? Is you know, my performance notes to these lions in the industry will be ridiculous. But what actually happened was we got Tim Surstedt, who was the DP for, oh my God, The Wedding Singer, and there, if you look up his credits are extraordinary, and that doesn't matter. He was a great guy. And when we did the shot list together, he said, listen, you know what you're doing. You know, go forth, my son. And so Tim and I got along great. And then the thing that was such a bonus was that, you know, Diane and Bill and Richard and Susan, it couldn't have been a smoother process, because not only did they understand the characters and what they wanted to do, I think that, you know, it's funny, I'm reading reviews, some of them are good, some of them are just awful. But what's interesting about them is that they all think that the movie is a romantic comedy. When they hit it, the ones that hit it, forget the ones that, you know, love the movie, because I'm a person who's grown up, you know, no, the bad reviews are the ones that are correct. So you pay attention. And the thing that was interesting to me was that it's not a romantic comedy. And when they said, where's the romance? No, they might as well have said, it's not scary. Where's the chainsaws? It's simply not that movie. What the movie is an observation of the trajectory of hope within a long, loving relationship. And at the very end, when we are thrown the bridal bouquet, that's the gesture of, I hope you guys find it too. And so the thing that was astonishing to me were the reviews and were the observations I got that saw through it. Now, naturally, it has to be marketed as a romantic comedy. It's the right thing to do. And there are certainly those aspects. Yeah. But our process, you know, I had dinner with Bill Macy every other night, and Richard Gere it was astonishing. It was Richard Gere, but he was like a buddy. You know, one day I saw him at the dining room table, and he was going over a particular line in the script, and he 3 different readings. I watched him, this reading, that reading, the other reading. And, you know, he looked up and he saw me watching, and my first time director's instinct was to run like hell. But he just smiled at me. And when we got on the set, this actually happened. This is how much fun. He comes to that moment, and I don't think it would have mattered what line he chose. He delivered the line, and I said, that's the one you picked? And he gets up from the table, laughing, runs across the set, grabs me, lifts me into the air. Now, suddenly I was Deborah Winger. Right. And I started singing Love Lift Us Up Where We Belong. How many opportunities in a lifetime do you get that moment? And what it did was, it was a very relaxed set, and everybody brought their A game. And I'm real proud of what we did.
Yeah, as you just alluded to, what a cast. They call it an ensemble movie. You have more Academy Award nominees and winners in a film than just about anything that I've ever seen. Who was the first one to come on board for this project?
Well, it was Diane. What happened was, there was a fellow by the name of Chris Slager. Mm-hmm. And that was the same person who said, we want you to direct this.
Right.
And Chris was the one who read the script and said, yeah, we love this. What do you think of Diane Keaton? And it became surreal, you know, because the funny thing is, my daughter Rachel is in the business. I have 4 children. She was the one that followed me into the business. And when I first sent her the script, I said, what do you think the first thing I should do with this is? And she said, the first thing you should do is get Diane Keaton. And so when I called her and said, all right, I've listened to you, we have Diane Keaton, you know, our jaws fall to the floor. I met Diane at her house, and we hit it off beautifully. And she said, who do you have in mind for Monica? And I said, I would like to get Susan Sarandon. And Diane said, well, you better, because she's the only one who can play it. And it's a truth. It's a very difficult, and it's easily, you know, Cruella de Vil in the wrong, and she's a puppy killer. But in Susan's hands, she's an unfulfilled woman who perceives she deserves more, realizes that she has been cursed by marrying the most decent man in the universe, and simply acts out. It all worked. Richard read the script and said, no, I'm not doing a romantic comedy, because he had already done the best romantic comedy ever. So I wrote him a letter, and he read the letter, and he called me. Mm-hmm. And what I thought was going to be a 2-minute phone call and a rejection became a 90-minute phone call and an acceptance. We just hit it off so well. Bill Macy, Bill was the first actor who came to the location, mm-hmm. 2 days before everybody else. So I got to sit with Bill 2 days, you know, and it's a pandemic. Yeah. So there's no rehearsal. There's only on-set rehearsal, which is perfunctory. I mean, I wish we had more, but it was instincts that ruled, and all of them I think were correct, because the truth is, mm-hmm. No, and you know, you have to admit the flaws in yourself if you're going to be able to communicate a good idea to somebody else. And I think the flaw in me is, after so much television, I think that I had begun to believe that comedy was rhythmic, mm-hmm. that there is a certain music, and if you don't hear that music, it's not funny. And I couldn't be more wrong. I've been very lucky, and a lot of what I've done has worked. The comedy rhythms that I thought were in the script were replaced by organic, real moments, by people that were afraid of their own mortality, mm-hmm. and wanted one last adventure. Because as Richard says, what do we have left? 20 years? I can remember 20 years ago like it was last Tuesday. That's what I've got left from last Tuesday to now. Then I want something to happen. There's your movie. And that can't be delivered rhythmically. It has to be delivered organically. Right. And he did. And I stood behind the camera lens, and I watched what I had written come back at me in very unexpected and very rewarding ways. And the choice was to say either, wait, that's not the way I hear it, or this is a brand new song and I'm going with it. And that's what we did.
Well, I've got one more question for you before I let you go. And as I alluded to at the beginning, grew up watching your shows, and a lot of them are still syndicated on a global basis, which speaks to how great they were. But Boy Meets World, there's one episode that has so many people talking all these years later, and that's the first episode that had Vader in it. Was Vader the first choice for that character, or were there other wrestlers that were reached out to or considered for that role first?
No, it was Vader. Mark Blutman, who is one of our writers, Vader was because of Ethan Suplee. Yeah. Ethan was so magnificent in the series. This is a guy that was introspective and supposed to be basically the bully's intellectual. Yeah. And what was interesting was we wanted the physicality that Ethan brought to Ethan's father for two reasons. We wanted to know where he came from. And when we got together in the writer's room and Blutman said, I want to get Vader, everybody immediately knew that was exactly the right choice. The bonus was that Vader was this wonderfully emotional, lovely man who, I tell you, it was perfect casting.
Hence him being around for 3 episodes.
You bet.
Exactly. Well, Michael, thank you for your time, the many years of great entertainment, and hope you direct another film, because clearly you did know what you were doing, even though you didn't think you did.
Thanks. That's nice of you to say. It was great talking to you.
Paltrocast.